I think there's a trap. There's a trap there somewhere where as a game master, we might feel that it is our job and our responsibility to make sure that our players are loving the game, enjoying the game, and interested in the game, and invested in the game. And if they're not, we must do something. We have to change that. Like, you can't lose interest because that's, I need to fix that.
Now, if you're a new or veteran game master looking for easy-to-use D&D 5e or Pathfinder 2 resources you can use in your games, consider becoming a DM Lair patron and getting a new issue of Lair magazine every month. Each issue contains 2 to 3 full-length adventures and a plethora of other resources such as traps, puzzles, encounters, magic items, and more. DM Lair patrons also get digital map packs, and they get to play in games with me, Luke. The $15 tier is where you get most of the goodies, and right now we even have 7-day free trials available. Learn more and become a DM Lair patron at the link below.
Let's say you have 5 players, right? And then one of them is losing interest in the game. Well, I think you have a couple things you could probably do. Ask them, why are you losing interest in the game? What are the things about the game that you find that are causing it to be uninteresting for you? And then talk with them, see what's going on, why they're losing interest. And then maybe there is something you as the game master can do. Maybe, you don't know, you won't know. And I can't give you a boilerplate answer to this because what you can do or what you can't do as a game master is going to depend upon your conversation with the player and depending on why they're losing interest. Like if they come and they're like, you know, I'm losing interest because the battles all just seem to be really, really easy. And we cakewalk everything, and it's just really lame, and it just makes things unexciting. Well, you can do something about that, can't you? Oh, you want harder combats? That would be amazing. I would love harder combats. Oh, okay, I can do that, right? If the player's like, well, you know, we're playing. Let's say you're playing 5th edition D&D. Player's like, well, you know, we're like level 17 right now, and there's no threat of death, you know, dying. Sometimes people die and we just come back and it just seems too lame, you know. And maybe you talk with the group and be like, hey guys, how do the rest of you feel about this? Would you like to do like a grittier type of, you know, game where dying is on the table and is a little bit more possible? That's maybe something that you can do about discussing with the rest of the table, obviously, because, you know, there are other people playing that they have preferences and things they like and dislike as well. But there might be something you can do about that. You know, if your player is just like, you know what, I'm tired of 5th edition D&D. It's old. I've been playing it for 10 years. I'm bored. I'm tired of this game. I just don't like and they'll name off different parts of the game they just don't like. And they're just like, I just don't want to play this game anymore. Like I would love to play a different game like Pathfinder 2 or Savage Worlds or Castles and Crusades. Like I just want to try a different game. Like I'm just bored of D&D 5e, just bored. That's it. Well, at that point, you're like, well, okay, I have 5 players, right? So you can't just be like, all right, guys, 1 player doesn't like this game, so we're just gonna switch to something else. Well, that might not work because then you got 4 players who might just be like, no, I like this game. I've invested in this game. I bought the books. I know how it works. The cost and the effort to convert to a different system is too much for me. I'm not doing that, right? So you have to consider that, right? But my point is, my point is you got to talk to the player and find out what's going on, and then you have to make decisions and see what you can or can't do. At the end of the day, though, you have to accept, as a game master, you have to accept the reality of things is that sometimes people lose interest in the game and they move on. Like that's what happens. You get tired of it, you get bored of it. Maybe you're just not jiving with the group anymore, or you just don't like. It could just be intangible stuff where you're just like, you know, there's nothing you can really do. I'm losing interest. And it could be something as simple as like, look I've been playing tabletop role-playing games for a while now, and I'm really getting into board games. Like I love playing tabletop board games. And I'd rather play those. Or like, I'm addicted to Diablo 4 right now. I can't, that's just what it is, man. And so we're here playing D&D and I'm thinking Diablo 4 the whole time, dude, the whole time. You know, so sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, and you just have to accept the fact that sometimes people lose interest and sometimes they're going to move on. And when they move on, well, then, you know, they move on and they might just leave the game, and then you find a new player, somebody who wants to play the game. But I think there's a trap. there's a trap there somewhere where as a game master, we might feel that it is our job and our responsibility to make sure that our players are loving the game, enjoying the game, and interested in the game, and invested in the game. And if they're not, we must do something. We have to change that. Like, you can't lose interest because I need to fix that, right? Well, sometimes you can't fix it. And it's not necessarily our job to fix it all the time. Sometimes people just lose interest and want to move on. So I think that there's a fallacy, a trap there of thinking that it's our responsibility to make sure that everybody's always having fun, that everybody's always interested, and everybody always wants to be there. Sometimes people just lose interest and they want to move on. And sometimes there's nothing you as a game master can do about it. And don't fall into another way of negative thinking about it, in that it's your fault. It might not be your fault. Like, just because a player is losing interest or a player doesn't like your game, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's your fault. It could be any number of things that are going on that are causing them to lose interest. Like I said, Diablo 4, baby, right? Or they just don't want to do role-playing games anymore. They want to do something else, you know, or whatever it could be. So don't take it as a negative point to you, a negative blow as a game master that you did something wrong, because maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't. And you might have 4 players that are loving your game and are there every week and are super excited, and you got one dude who's just kind of like, meh. Well, you know, it's not a good fit for whatever reasons, though, all the various factors that could be out there. So don't take it negatively. Now, the other thing you might consider, there is a certain amount of game master responsibility, of course. You need to do your best to run an awesome game as well, right? So because people do lose interest because the games aren't that fun. And part of making a game fun and enjoyable does lie on the game master. So there is a level of responsibility that we as game masters need to do our part to run awesome games, to run amazing games that our players are going to find interesting and players are going to find fun. But we're not the only component. So if we're doing the best we can and we're doing our part, then that's all we can do, and continue improving, obviously, continue trying to learn more things and try new things and be better as a game master. So we do carry a level of responsibility, but it's not all on us. And so we shouldn't always take it personally if we have one player losing interest and leaves. Now, if you have lots of players all the time that lose interest and leave your games, now that is a warning sign that we might be responsible for that, right? Like, if I just have players that are constantly leaving and turning over and they're gone, and I have no player retention, well, then I would feel pretty confident in saying that I'm probably a big part of the problem at that point. But if you just have every so often somebody loses interest or somebody leaves, there could be other factors. There are likely other factors at play, and we shouldn't beat ourselves up about it. Talk to them, see what might be done to try to improve the situation, but be open to the idea that it might just not be meant to be, and that it might be time for them to move on and do something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not a slight against you as the game master, and it's not a negative thing against that player. It's just life. It's a game. It's a game, you know? It's not like you're giving up on your marriage. It's just a game. It's just a game, so everything's okay.
Click on the screen right here to become a patron, or right up here to watch another fine DM Lair video. And until next time, happy game mastering.